As Daniel with Explosive Customs. I'm going to go over the Rapid Mask film a little more in detail. Been a few questions, so I have a few pieces here. This is what it looks like when it comes out of the box. Rather see-through, green. When you get this stuff and you're starting to expose it, you got to pay attention to which side faces your artwork. And you've got to figure out how long you have to expose your film. So I cut little band-aid size strips to run my test on to find out how long I need to expose it, and we'll start with that. So I take this piece, I put it in my light, my UV light from Iconic Image. I ran it for 1 minute, and it comes out, as you can see, it's a little darker compared to the other piece, a little darker. And how you test this is you bend it in half and then you pinch the end. And if it snaps, or you feel a snap, then it's ready to go on your piece. That's how long you need. This one didn't snap, it just creased. So if it doesn't work, you put it in your light and you run it a little longer. I ran this piece for about 2.5 minutes. It's the piece on top. You can see it's just a little bit darker than the next. Then you take it and do the same thing. Bend it in half and you pinch it. And again, it's just creasing. There's no definitive snap. Now I've got a piece that I ran for, I run mine for 4 minutes. And I have good results with that. So this strip's a little thinner, but when you bend it in half and you pinch it, I don't know if you can hear the small click, but you actually get a snap. And when you open it back up, you can tell that it definitely snapped. And that indicates that you have, I don't know if you can hear that, a good exposure time, and it's ready to go on your piece. Because that's how this stuff works. When it goes on your piece and you hit it with your abrasive, that it breaks away and just disappears. So I said I run mine about 4 minutes. I've ran it as low as 3 1/4, 3.5 minutes, and got good results out of it. I run it a little longer. It doesn't hurt. You can overexpose it, so you don't want to just stick it in there for 6 minutes and say, hey, I'm good, because if your stencil's not dark enough and you run it for 6 minutes, your light's going to expose that film even in your dark areas if there's a little bit of light shining through. I have a really low quality HP inkjet printer, and when you hold it up to the light, you can see light passing through the black. That's not good. Longer times will cause exposure through that. So I've run my test. 4 minutes has worked out really well for me. So that's good even number. That's what I run it. And I get these awesome little stencils. So anyways, once you get your exposure time down, and it's not really important which way you expose your film during these tests, because it's not going to cause enough difference in your exposure to really make a significant time difference. However, when you start exposing your film to your artwork, there is a certain side that has to face your artwork. So you have your printed artwork, you will have a printed side and an unprinted side. And your film, you have a carrier sheet and a protector sheet. The protector sheet faces your printed side of your artwork and goes in your light, and your light will shine through your stencil onto your film. So how you tell this is you can take your fingernail and scratch it on both sides. One side's going to be very hard and slick feeling that you cannot scratch. Your finger just slides on it. The other side, when you start scratching, it feels a little more rubbery, and if you pay close attention, you can actually see where you're scratching the film a little bit. That thin side faces your artwork. That is the protector. The other side that's hard is your carrier sheet. Also, if you hold this to where you can see the light reflecting off of it, you've got a really high gloss shiny side, and then you've got a medium gloss, kind of a little bit duller side. That duller side is also the same side that's soft. That's your protector side. So your high gloss, high sheen side goes away from your artwork. Once you expose this and get your stencil, if you have something like this with letters in it, it's really easy to tell which side is going to go towards your artwork. This specific piece is for the back of a mirror, so I know that when it goes on the mirror, it's going to go on the mirror with the text backwards. So it's easy for me to tell which way to go on it. If you cannot tell which way that it goes on, again, you will just use your finger again, or you can take and start to peel along the edge here with your fingers. And you just kind of work around the edge until you grab something that's going to peel up. Sometimes it's a bit of a bear to get started, but once it comes up and gets off the paper, it'll come right off. Okay, as you can see, it's starting to come off ever so slightly. You would peel that off. That is your very thin piece, your protector sheet. And then if you feel the film, it's slightly tacky, but it's really not sticky. So you've got your image extra in this, and then you take that, peel that thin film off, and then you're going to lay that on your piece of glass. And I've just got a scrap piece of glass here. Once you lay that on, if it's not where you need it, if you can get back under it, you have the ability to peel this stuff back off. It's pretty peel and stick. It's not really high tack. Once you get it where you need it, you've got it laid down, you rub it down real hard, either using your squeegee or your finger or credit card or whatever. Now once you do this, it ain't coming off very well. So you rub it down. You're going to get some air bubbles. I don't know if you can see those. Don't worry about those. This stuff actually will create air bubbles under the carrier sheet, and those will go away when you peel it off. If not, they're very easy to deal with. So once you get it good and rubbed down, then you're going to get that carrier sheet off of there using a piece of masking tape. Stick it on there and peel it up, and it'll peel it off. Or you can just get under it with your fingernail in the corner and get it started. And it'll start to come off. And like I said, you can use your piece of masking tape. This works pretty well if you don't have fingernails. So you just take your tape, stick it, and it'll peel it right up. This piece is your carrier sheet. You can hear the difference. It's a little more rigid and crinkly. This is more like saran wrap, a little heavier duty, but I mean, you can wad that stuff up in a ball. It don't pop back up very well. I mean, this stuff, it's pretty rigid. So now that you've got your piece on your glass, it's ready for masking and blasting. If you have any little air bubbles, or you're getting air bubbles, wine glasses, stuff that's not got a real smooth surface, you're getting air bubbles, once you've removed the carrier sheet from it, you can actually go around through these air bubbles and just push them down with your finger. And this stuff is super thin, so it'll press down. If not, you take your weeding tool or a straight pen, an X-Acto knife, touch it pop the bubble, just like you would when you're laying large sheets of vinyl and trying to remove air. You can apply this with water so you get less air bubbles. I prefer not to because it's just a pain. I dry apply everything if I can avoid the water. So once you get your piece on, your stencil's on, ready to go, you'd mask this off as much as you need to put it in the booth and blast it. Once you blast this stuff, you bring it, I just take mine, throw it in the kitchen sink, and run lukewarm water over it. Some of the videos say to submerge it in water, let it soak for 5 minutes. You don't need to. I just take it, throw it in my kitchen sink, turn the warm water on, get it as warm as I can stand with my hands, let it run for just a few minutes. The masking tape will get wet really quick and come off very easily. And then this stuff, all you got to do is take your thumb and start streaking down it, and it'll, even now without water, it'll just roll right up. The only thing the water really helps, the water will help release it, but the water also keeps you from scratching your piece with any leftover residue from blasting, is the main thing the water's there for. So I'll peel this up off of here, and it's just kind of like peeling skin. And you never want to remove both sides of plastic before applying this, unless you're able to get control of it. There's a few projects I've had that I've had to lay it like this, because certain surfaces, certain metals, that doesn't adhere to really well, and you just keep pulling it off. So then you can get it like this and lay it down by hand and it'll stick. I don't recommend it unless you absolutely have to, because this stuff like this, you touch it against itself, it sticks unbelievably strong to itself, and you're not going to get it back apart. You're going to ruin your stencil. As well as it stretches, and you're going to distort your picture. So leave both pieces of plastic on it, peel your thin sheet off, lay it on your item, and then you peel your thick sheet off, you mask it, and it's ready for blast. Work time for this stuff, they say, is about 2 to 4 hours depending on the type of light you have in your house. When I first got it, I was nervous. I worked under yellow light like it recommends, and then I realized that there's no project I'm going to have that is going to expose this stuff. So it just wads up in a nasty little ball. It's going to expose this stuff enough that it's going to ruin your stencil. I don't expose it without unnecessarily. So when I'm working, it comes out of my light. I put it back in the box when it's done. It sets in the box till all my stencils are created, and then I pull them out one at a time. Just open the box, grab a stencil, close the box, and that prevents any undue exposure to your extra stencils. I lay that stencil, I mask that stencil, and then I put that stencil or that piece into a box and I close the box. This has worked very well for me. I've done orders of 200 glasses, and I stenciled all 200 glasses before I blasted, and I had 0 issues. This is not a film that you can use outside. I tried when I first got the system. My sandblasting system wasn't capable of operating with this stuff, so I thought, hey, I'm going to go outside and do it with my pressure pot. I'll lose all my media, but there you go. And it took about 5 minutes outside, and my entire stencil had cured under the UV light of the sun, and to this day is permanently stuck to that glass. It don't come off at that point. But if you're working indoors, you're working in your garage, your hobby room, or normal light, I run fluorescent bulbs, and I can work with it all day with no problems, as long as it's not a UV producing. It's a really sunny day, might close your blinds if you're working in direct sunlight of the window. But I sit with my back to the window, my shadows cast over my work area. I've never had a problem. Same within when you go out to your shop to blast. I don't have any windows in my room. I take my stuff out there, set it on the desk. I open the box up, got a light bulb on overhead, blasting. You've got plenty of time. This stuff, they make it seem like it's incredibly hard to work with, but it's not. So that's a little bit about how the film actually works itself. That you've got a little bit of leeway, but there's certain things you've got to do with it to make it work out. But like anything, once you learn your product, you learn tricks, trades, tips that help you work with it better. And that's the purpose of the video. Hopefully the stuff that I've learned will help you. Now, if you have any questions, leave them in the comment box below, and I will try to check back and answer them. Thanks.